Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But science is not. Science is not in the eye of the beholder. I mean, you just run up against fact.
Bill Maher has once again gone after the Democrats, and this time his words cut deep. He didn't hold back as he tore apart what he calls the endless stream of woke nonsense being forced on Americans. On a recent episode of Real Time with Bill Maher, the comedian went straight at the so-called woke movement, calling out how it glamorizes reckless and unhealthy choices. This wasn't just a comedy routine. It was a political takedown. If you appreciate blunt honesty without sugarcoating, you'll want to stick around.
Now that we have Ozempic, I hear much less about the body positivity movement, which was always Orwellian. It was always Orwellian to say that being fat was body positivity. It is the exact opposite, or this bullshit about how you could be healthy at any weight.
Right from the start, Maher called out the double standards in how the woke crowd treats obesity. He reminded viewers that not long ago, even suggesting that someone overweight should exercise or eat better would get you labeled as fat-phobic and canceled on social media. Influencers flooded platforms with content glorifying poor health, hiding it under the label of body positivity. The loudest voices cheered this on, encouraging people to stay stuck in lifestyles that damage long-term health, all while pretending it was empowerment. But now, things have shifted. Suddenly, everyone is rushing to grab prescriptions for Ozempic to drop weight instantly. Maher pointed out the hypocrisy. Body positivity wasn't empowerment at all. It was just another empty fad promoted by woke Democrats.
But the reality is that people throughout time have an idea of classical standards of beauty. And in our case, in our civilization, there have been an American standard of beauty that actually reflects what people want. And so
fat was in at a time. You can see it in the paintings, but it's when people were poor and food was,
a sign of
That's right. And in certain cultures, like the Pacific Islander cultures, there's different cultural ramifications. But the reality is that more people would rather be, petite, trim, low body fat than be 500 pounds. And I think that's what
maybe in your white
proves.
world, but I mean that's not everybody.
Except for a few very rare medical situations, being overweight is strongly tied to poor health outcomes. No matter where you come from, what culture, tradition, or background, biology doesn't bend to political correctness. It's simple. The human body isn't designed to carry large amounts of extra weight without paying a price. At its core, the rule is clear. Don't eat and store more than your body can reasonably burn. Excess fuel doesn't disappear. It turns into fat that strains the heart, joints, and vital organs. Over time, those extra pounds lead to diabetes, heart disease, and shorter life expectancy. Health isn't cultural. It's biological. Ignoring that truth doesn't just mislead people, it can cost lives.
Top comics from the U.S. will perform at a festival in Saudi Arabia next month. I saw the poster. Wow. Some friends of mine. What does this suggest about how liberals view the country now? Yeah, I mean, some big names. I mean, Whitney Cummings is going over there. I think Bill Burr, Louis C.K. are performing in Saudi Arabia. Wow. I mean, who's going? Is my question.
It seems high risk. It seems like the thing that might end in a public beheading if you say the wrong thing. I would keep the jokes right within the lines. Yeah.
I don't think this is about politics and how they see Saudi Arabia. I think this is about this.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. How much are they being paid?
Saudi Arabia knows how to bribe. They did it with sports. Now they're doing it with comedy?
Yeah.
Wow.
Political principles tend to go out the window when there's enough money on the table.
Maybe Colbert get a job.
And that's liberal politics in a nutshell. They loudly defend their so-called values, but the moment money gets involved, those values vanish. Hypocrisy seems built into their system. Take comedy, for example. In some parts of the world, crossing a line in a joke isn't just career-ending. It could literally get you killed. Yet, many self-proclaimed fearless comedians don't hesitate to perform in countries with regimes that jail dissenters and silence critics, as long as the paycheck is large enough. Saudi Arabia, for instance, has made reforms like allowing women to drive and hosting concerts, but the country still enforces strict controls and harsh punishments. For liberals chasing money, those risks don't matter. When cash is on the table, their principles are the first thing out the door.
Remember this, when President Trump ran for office the first time, his big chant at the rally was "lock her up." I was a little bit like, this seems a little extreme, not sure how I feel about this, but after he won, he said something very interesting. He said, that was a campaign thing, Hillary's fine, we're going to all move on. And he didn't actually seek to prosecute his political opponents. But now, over the last 10 years, we've had Russiagate, we've had investigations, we've had indictments, we've had arrests, we've had the mugshot, we'd have a bullet through his ear.
Commentator Christopher Rufo has also put forward a strategy that Maher highlighted. He argues that Donald Trump should directly challenge his political enemies, especially the entrenched power brokers inside the Democratic Party. And honestly, it makes sense. During his first term, Trump avoided targeting opponents directly and instead focused on governing and policy. What did he get in return? Endless investigations, fake scandals, and nonstop political attacks. The lesson is clear. Restraint doesn't earn respect in Washington. It invites more attacks. Rufo's advice is straightforward. Trump should hold his opponents accountable. Not for revenge, but to send a clear message. No one is above the law, and no office should be abused without consequences. That's not vengeance. That's justice.
We've all been told that you can have it all, and you're a queen and a lady boss and that bitch. But maybe your judgy ass is no prize either. And if you jilt a guy for not thinking enough about Black Lives Matter, just tell me this. What have you actually done that made any more of a difference in any black life than what your inadequate ex-fiancee did? I asked Senator Adam Schiff here last week when the subject of Trump's sliding poll numbers came up. Okay, but how are the Democrats going to blow it this time? This is how. Posturing, purity tests, the politics of I unfriend you if you're not exactly with me 1,000%.
Meanwhile, Democrats are still squandering their chance to lead the country again. The reason is familiar. Their obsession with moral posturing. Instead of uniting people with real solutions, they climb onto their self-made pedestals and lecture the rest of America. They treat ordinary citizens who care about jobs, security, and stability as if they're villains for not repeating progressive slogans. And instead of learning from past defeats, Democrats keep doubling down, lecturing, shaming, and dividing. It's the same arrogance that cost them in 2016 and again in 2020. But they don't seem to learn.
Define wokeness, because I hear people use the term all the time and it means something different to everybody.
Well, again, I think it's this collection of ideas that are not building on liberalism, but very often undoing it. I mean, 5 years ago, Abraham Lincoln was not a controversial figure among liberals. We liked him. Now they take his name off schools and tear down his statues. Really? Lincoln isn't good enough for you? 5-10 years ago, bedrock liberalism was we are striving to be a colorblind society where we don't see race. Of course, we see it, but it doesn't matter. That's not what woke is. Woke is something very different. It's identity politics. We see it all the time. It's always the most important thing. I don't think that's liberalism. I mean, I could mention so many issues like that.
In this segment, Maher wasn't just mocking woke politics. He explained why he sees it as a real danger. For him, it's not about left or right. It's about preserving common sense. Woke ideology doesn't just annoy people. It actively erodes society's foundations. It replaces truth with rigid dogma, reason with outrage, and merit with identity politics. It demands that people deny obvious facts just to look virtuous. And when a culture replaces logic with lies, collapse isn't far behind. That's why Maher says it's dangerous. It destroys trust, divides communities, and poisons public debate. His warning is simple. If we don't push back, this agenda won't just frustrate us. It will weaken the very structure of society.
There's a certain amount of cult followers for anything, and then the true believers never die. I mean, a lot of people would say right now the Democratic Party is still in that mode, which is going to render them possibly an irrelevant party if they don't change.
What would you like to see from the Democrats, like, going forward?
Well, much more centrism, much more get rid of the woke baggage, old school liberal is what I usually describe myself as. But that's very often the opposite of woke. Woke would like people to believe that there's some sort of an extension of liberalism, but they're not.
Maher is right. The Democratic Party is marching toward irrelevance. Unless they make major changes, they risk fading into political extinction. History is full of examples. Parties that rose with big ideas but collapsed because they ignore the real concerns of ordinary people. Today's Democrats are making the same mistake. They cling to ideological purity and woke theatrics while avoiding real issues like the economy, healthcare, and safety. Compare that with Trump. When parts of strategy failed, he adjusted, sharpened his message, and fought his way back. That's the difference between survival and collapse. In politics, you adapt or you disappear. If Democrats don't wake up, Maher's warning won't just be commentary. It will be prophecy.
Leaders in the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe and the people who run Gaza are great. The Democrats are doomed. Alyssa Slotkin's right. Liberals are weak and woke, especially the white ones, and they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids, a pattern that then continues on in the Democratic Party.
And it's becoming more obvious every day. Democrats now look weak, indecisive, and stuck on woke ideology. They can't defend their own policies, because the moment those policies are tested in the real world, they collapse. Even their most celebrated ideas fall apart under simple scrutiny. That's why Maher says they're headed for extinction. A party that hides behind virtue signaling instead of delivering practical results won't survive. When your entire foundation is built on empty posturing instead of reality, time isn't on your side. Unless they rediscover some backbone and start addressing real-world issues, Democrats are slowly erasing themselves from the future.
Last election, it was all the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such, and now I fear that we like the terrorists is the new that. Liberals need to push back on the dumb ideas that come from their children.
Almost comical how seriously the woke crowd takes children. They elevate teenagers who have little to no life experience into moral authorities, treating their opinions like unshakable truth. Parents are told to sit back and learn from kids instead of guiding them. It's parenting turned upside down and politics shaped by TikTok sound bites. No wonder Democrats are in disarray. When your movement takes advice from adolescent outrage instead of science, history, or lived experience, disaster is unavoidable. Maher is right. When a political party glorifies youthful ignorance over adult responsibility, collapse is inevitable. At the end of the day, Maher's message is straightforward. Democrats are sabotaging themselves. Their obsession with woke politics, hypocrisy, and moral grandstanding has left them hollow and weak. They alienate half the country, elevate children as authorities, and collapse under real scrutiny. And they refuse to learn from history, which shows that parties unwilling to change eventually disappear. Maher isn't just mocking them, he's warning them. Unless Democrats wake up, their so-called progressive vision will fade into irrelevance. And that's where we'll wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.